Greetings, fellow humans. My name's Aiden Paladin. So it happened. Trump is president. This is obviously a tough time for many of us. Many may be literally in tears, shaking from the cold, harsh reality that it is disgusting, misogynistic, sexist, racist, Islamophobic, transphobic, orange bastard is now the 45th president of the United States of America. So, to all of you out there deeply upset about the outcome of the election and Trump's inauguration, I have just one thing to tell you. Get the fuck over it! Trump is president. He's my president. Oh, and sweet little summer child, he is your president too. We won! Woo! Oh, and if you were literally shaking on election night, and if your 8-year-old child came up to you the next day asking if Trump was worse than Caesar, well, what? Then guess what? You elected him. Now, I'm obviously not saying that George Soros' voting machine switched your Hillary vote to Trump, although they did tend to do the opposite, or that Putin put on his trench coat, sunglasses, and entered the Matrix to hack the vote. I'm saying that you, socially, and everyone like you, is the precise reason why this dude you irrationally and baselessly hate so much is now sitting his big orange ass in the Oval Office. Admittedly, it's not all your fault. It's also the fault of the corrupt DNC that rigged the primaries against Bernie Sanders and his burnouts. It's the fault of every sycophantic actor or semi-famous celebrity who shilled against him. It's the fault of the beyond discredited mainstream media, which relentlessly slammed and mocked him. And above all, it's the fault of Hillary Clinton herself, who spent more time lambasting Trump and his supporters than she did even taking in multi-million-dollar handouts from Saudi Arabia or shaking her scepter at Russia over fucking emails. There's plenty of videos I can make to go into detail about how every single one of these groups is responsible, but I want to start with you. You, feminist hill dog fangirl. You, Tumblr-using pink-haired harpy. You, the one literally shaking. Yes, you. First, however, I need to explicate a very simple psychological principle for you folks. Psychological reactance theory.
Ooh, what does this button do? Please, do not push the button. You have no idea.
Here's reactance explained about as succinctly as I think has ever been achieved by a single piece of media or example at all. Basically, humans have an intense desire to maintain their own free will and enact free behaviors. That's why when you enslave and limit the freedoms of peoples, they kind of tend to rebel and revolt. Self-actualization is at the top of the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What all of us are ultimately trying to achieve is the fulfillment of a complete life. And if someone is preventing you from self-actualization, you're going to react violently. On one hand, reactance might seem like adults behaving as petulant teenagers trying to rebel. But why do teens have such a tendency to do the exact opposite of whatever mommy and daddy tell them to? Oh yeah, it's in search, albeit often an ass-backwards search, for self-actualization and to test the limits of their free behaviors. This, quote, acting out, is particularly salient and intense when a particular freedom of behavior that we've been allowed to do, like, say, the right to vote for whoever the fuck you want, is taken away, be it through force of law, or more esoterically, through social exclusion and ridicule. So, when you spend all day on social media talking about how voting for Trump makes you a Nazi, and how you will unfriend and banish anyone from your life who likes him, you're essentially taking away free behavior from others who vote as they see fit. What this does is causes fence-sitters to experience the same psychological reactance as the horrible double Hitlers you were trying to silence. It makes people in the middle want to shout, "Fuck you, you're not my mom, you can't tell me what to do, MAGA!" And by the way, psychological reactance is heavily research theory in effect, which can be quantitatively measured using different instruments and scales, meaning we can actually test just how much reactance you're feeling when you shout that. I'll link to the wiki article below. I've read over it. It does a pretty good job of explaining the theory in layman's terms, but also does link to more research if you're interested in really getting down into the nitty-gritty. Anyway, with the basic definition out of the way, I want to throw up this tweet, which succinctly, and I believe rather eloquently, explains the precise role that psychological reactance played in this election cycle. So this is from Coop Lepresto. Says, when all the non-racist, non-misogynistic, non-homophobic, non-bigoted, everyday ordinary people get so sick of you calling them racists, misogynists, homophobes, and bigots that they go out and vote against your candidate, do you, A, reevaluate your personal conduct and strategy of convincing people to share your politics, or B, call them racists, misogynists, homophobes, and bigots and yell at them even more? According to most of my timeline, you chose B, and that's exactly why your candidate lost. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now, I made the mistake of retweeting this, and whoo boy, did I catch some flack from my old friends turned SJWs over the last 8 years of our king of racial division and animosity, showing just how ready they are to double down on doubling down. Jesus, it's like living in a fucking MC Escher painting. This vitriolic attacking of everyone with a dissenting opinion from your own politically correct narrative not only elicited reactance, it also drove all of us feeling that reactance underground and into silence. That's why every poll had Hillary at 99.999% chance to win in an unprecedented landslide. You kept telling us not to have these opinions, not to vote for Trump, because if we do, we're every ist on the planet. So guess what? We didn't tell you we were voting for Trump. That's why not only did you lose, you lost when you thought such a loss was unfathomable. You are the very reason such a loss was so unpredictable. So, did you learn your lesson about throwing around accusations like racist and sexist just out like candy at a parade? Fuck no. You're the left. And all the left has done since the election is double down and keep calling the right, or anyone who voted for Trump, because, as I explicated, many centrists or even left-leaning people supported Trump. Just keep calling them racist, sexist bigots in need of a good gassing. I keep forgetting we're the ones supposed to be the Nazis here. Huh. Anyway, this piss baby tantrum throwing is important because, again, all it does is cause more and more reactance. So please, to those of you literally shaking and getting your hijabs pulled off by strong Aryan men wearing Trump hats like the opening to some weird porno, I implore you, don't give up, just keep doubling down. Cry more, throw more of a hissy fit, have more million women screeching crawls through the Capitol. Do it, faggot, please. It makes my goddamn day and just drives anyone not completely indoctrinated into the cult of social justice away from your ideology. Oh, and it is a cult. I may do a video on cult behavior in some more detail. Sargon did some videos on it that you should check out, and I will link to his videos below. Anyway, in short, please continue. I feel like I'm kind of revealing secrets that I shouldn't by explaining reactance theory. Like, if these people realize that by acting like actual fascists, they are radicalizing people to the other side, disenfranchising moderate leftists and centrists, and ultimately digging their own graves. Oh, but who am I kidding? The day feminists, SJWs, and the extreme left have 2 brain cells to rub together between them is the day I will eat my own MAGA hat. Now, while this video is about you, and why you elected Donald Trump, it is absolutely not the fault of any individual voter for the selection of Hillary Clinton as the Democrat nominee. We know from WikiLeaks sources that the DNC conspired to kick old Bernie out of the race and place the Queen on the throne. Slay! And while Bernie is a commie bastard who served in Congress for something like 10,000 years, yet is so fucking ignorant of the country he's supposed to serve and represent that he thinks it's a fucking democracy rather than the democratic republic that it is. Well, he was loved by millennials and young people regardless. Just like Trump, Bernie was anti-establishment. Trump is hated by the GOP establishment because, let's get real folks, he's barely a Republican, and he's certainly not a neocon. Real quick aside, because right now I think about 4 of my lefty friends have gotten pissy at me for using the term neocon, let me take a little aside here to take a minute to explain it. Neocon stands for neoconservative. But they're not new. They're all old farts. The word neo is not correct. Shut your fucking face. Oh, I hate this pedantic, semantic objection to the term. It's what they call themselves. Just like people with the word justice, aka social justice, in their self-descriptor, believe in things like guilty until proven innocent. So sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. They're called neocons. Oh, God, fuck me running. Anyway, neocons were leftists who moved to the Republican Party in the 70s in reaction to the new left. Do you see the operative bit there? They came from the left originally. They're just fucking leftists with annoying religious authoritarian coats of paint on top. Oh yeah, and they're all globalists. And before you call me Alex Jones and go back to InfoWars for the turning all the frogs gay or whatever, for using the term globalist, some of them will actually call themselves that. It is a real political ideology, and it is a disease that has slowly destroyed the American economy like a cancer, while embracing limitless immigration and sticking our dick in foreign affairs where it certainly doesn't belong, starting wars and destabilizing foreign governments, fucking the world with the cock of America. The things that I've just mentioned, the neocon Republican establishment likes all that stuff just as much as the establishment left, because they were the establishment left. And my generation, millennials, we're the ones who inherited the social, economic, and international aids from our boomer forerunners. We're pretty much America's unwanted crack baby generation, and we're getting sick of us. More than just the millennials, Gen Z apparently has seen this pattern of globalist establishment nonsense even more clearly than we have begun to. That's why we wanted rehab. We wanted something different from the policies and politics enacted by the boomers. And it's why we were so desperate for someone to go against the grain of establishment politics. So, while Bernie was a socialist, and a globalist too, he at least wasn't parroting the same old talking points of the rest of the left. And he promised millennials a future. A future of free college and eternal welfare and a bunch of other pipe dreams that would never work in reality. But he promised them something. The DNC, of course, could not let that fly. Some commie deviating from the party line, even slightly? Absolutely not. Bring me the rope and let's hang him out to dry. Trump didn't let the GOP bully him in the same way Bernie let the DNC bully him, though. If the GOP had gone for the cruise missile, Trump would have just run as an independent and destabilized everything. And the GOP knew that. Trump essentially bullied the GOP while the exact opposite thing was happening to Bernie. Really, Trump and Bernie are two sides of the same anti-establishment coin, which is why they both instilled such passion in voters. The major difference is that Bernie told people what they wanted to hear. Free healthcare and handouts for everyone. Well, Trump told people what they needed to hear, like that 70,000 US factories have been closed down. So when I call Trump anti-establishment, I'm only doing so to point out that he's not a Republican establishment neocon, and he doesn't represent the what's now traditional Republican Party. That doesn't mean that he's some kind of revolutionary. Trump is a conservative centrist, and that term conservative, it's been dragged through the mud quite a lot. It keeps getting linked to ideas like racism and sexism, things of the past, but no, that's not what conservative means. It means wanting to fucking conserve something, wanting to conserve something about our nation, which, as I asserted, has been systematically dragged through the dirt, just like that term, by globalist politics and nearsighted boomers for the last 30-40 years. So, essentially, Trump is a nationalist, conservative, centrist. Oh no, nationalist? That's another bad word. Literal Hitler. Nationalism is the antithesis to globalism, and that's precisely why the term and sentiment is so loathed by establishment parties. Well, that and the Nazis were nationalists. I mean, that's where the term comes from. Yes, it's true, the Nazis were nationalists. But just one extreme example does not the ideology make. If that was the case, every SJW college freshman calling themselves a socialist would be just as guilty, because, folks, socialism is, of course, the other half of the term that makes up Nazi. Anyway, I feel like I've strayed off topic as to why this is all your fault. Oh right, the disenfranchised left. So, the DNC screws over Bernie, and all of the momentum created by his riotous rise to popularity came to an immediate and screeching halt. And who does the DNC choose in his place? One of the most corrupt, unlikable, and unelectable people in the goddamn party and maybe the goddamn world, Hillary Rodham Clinton. A woman responsible for the attack on Benghazi and pretty much this entire mess in Syria that she created as Secretary of State. A woman who has flip-flopped on every single position she has ever held, from the Iraq War to gay marriage to Obama's fucking birth certificate. A woman running entirely on the platform of, look at my vagina, it's my turn to play with the big red button, boys. Despite the fact that her breakout career as a lawyer began with her defending a man, and laughing about it, by the way, who raped a young girl into a coma and permanent sterility. A woman whose foundation, if you want to even call it that, has taken in and laundered millions of dollars from countries like Qatar and Saudi Arabia, where gays are thrown off roofs and where women have acid thrown on their face for being raped. She is a woman who accidentally deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails. Whoops. A woman who openly stated that she wanted war with Russia over emails. Just so many emails. Jesus fucking Christ, Hillary. A woman who, according to her own campaign, has come to hate the American people, and made that abundantly clear, not just in her private face, but in her public face, by shit-talking coal miners, hard-working coal miners, and straight up calling half of the country deplorable. Oh, and on top of all that, she's in such poor health that she makes the Methuselah the DNC kicked to the curb look like a fucking spring chicken. So, this is who you're going with, DNC? Her? Well, needless to say, even lifelong Democratic voters wanted nothing to do with this horrible wench. And that's precisely why turnout for Dem voters was so low this year, compared to previous years. It's bad enough that you created this culture of psychological reactance by screaming like a shrill banshee at everyone who disagrees with you. But you also picked someone utterly unelectable to represent your side. And that's why anyone with any neurons still firing either didn't vote in this election or voted for Trump. Really, I have to hand it to you, both to the left and to the DNC. You really just handed Trump this election on a great big golden shower platter, and as long as you continue to throw tantrums about it, the stronger he becomes. I'm growing stronger! Just accept it. Trump is your president, and whether or not you pushed him and Pence's name in the voting machine, if you ever called someone a racist, sexist bigot for supporting or just not hating Trump, if you ever cried about how he's literal Hitler, he's going to deport all the brown people and put all the gays into camps. If you ever made a tweet with hashtags like fuck Trump or pussy grabs back. If you were literally shaking on Invention Night, then you ostensibly put the man in office with your whiny, crybaby antics, making everyone around you want to meme the man into office. And in conclusion, to the moderates, the centrists, and the not insane left, because I know you're out there, I am deeply sorry that your party screwed you over so bad with such an abysmal candidate who never could have stumped the Trump in a million years. I don't believe Bernie would have done a hell of a lot better, but he may have stood something of a chance, because, first of all, his politics are sort of too far outside of the realm of reality, but also because he's a wimp, and he would have been embarrassingly bullied into submission on an international global scale, rather than he was just in the DNC. But at least people were behind Bernie. I don't think anyone was really with her unless they were voting solely on their vaginas or boy pussies. Plain typical lefty identity politics that, once again, put us in this position to begin with. Whew. Well, I'm spent. That was a lot to unpack, but I think I got out most of what I wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to like and subscribe. I'm of course very new to this, but I've got a whole book full of videos planned, so I should have lots to do. So, once again, I'm Aiden Paladin, Altana Volt.